This is my perspective, and has always been my perspective on life. I have a very grim, pessimistic view of it. I always have since I was a little boy. It hasn't gotten worse with age or anything. I do feel that it's a grim, painful, nightmarish, meaningless experience, and that the only way that you can be happy is if you tell yourself some lies and deceive yourself.
Let me show you how absurd your position is.
Let's talk about the Macbeth sentence. It's all fury and sound signifying nothing. Are we all dumb? When did you get conscious about this fact?
I got conscious at a very young age, but it becomes increasingly more evident as you get older. That you start to think when you're younger how important everything is and how things have to go right, and your job, your career, your life, and your choices and all that. And then after a while, you start to realize that, I'm taking the big picture here, that eventually you die.
All right, let's say that there is no God and each man is free to do exactly as he chooses. Well, what prevents you from murdering somebody?
Millions of books written on every conceivable subject by all these great minds, and in the end, none of them knows anything more about the big questions of life than I do.
Well, murder's immoral.
Immorality is subjective.
Yes, but subjectivity is objective.
And I'm not the first person to say this, or the most articulate person on it. It was said by Nietzsche, it was said by Freud, it was said by Eugene O'Neill. One must have one's delusions to live. If you look at life too honestly and clearly, life does become unbearable, because it's a pretty grim enterprise, you will admit.
Not in an irrational scheme of perception.
Perception is irrational. It implies immanence.
I read Socrates, this guy used to knock off little Greek boys. What the hell's he got to teach me?
And eventually the sun burns out and the earth is gone, and eventually all the stars and all the planets, the entire universe disappears, and nothing is left at all. Nothing Shakespeare's or Beethoven or all gone, Michelangelo, gone. And you think to yourself, it is a lot of noise and sound and fury. And where's it going? Not going anyplace. It's going,
Sonia, what if there is no God?
Boris Dmitrievich, are you joking?
What if we're just a bunch of absurd people who are running around with no rhyme or reason?
But if there is no God, then life has no meaning. Why go on living? Why not just commit suicide?
Well, let's not get hysterical. I could be wrong. I'd hate to blow my brains out and then read in the papers they found something.
Ask you what your favorite commandment is? Well, right now, with a lot of teenagers, it's to honor thy father and thy mother. Really? That's my least favorite commandment. To honor thy father and thy mother. Really? That's my least favorite commandment.
Dylan Farrow has released an open letter in the New York Times where she is calling Woody Allen out for what he allegedly did to her. So I want to read you part of what she wrote, and then you guys can judge for yourself what you think about it. She says, "What's your favorite Woody Allen movie? Before you answer, you should know. When I was 7 years old, Woody Allen took me by the hand and led me into a dim, closet-like attic on the second floor of our house. He told me to lay on my stomach and play with my brother's electric train set. Then he sexually assaulted me. He talked to me while he did it, whispering that I was a good girl, that this was our secret, promising we'd go to Paris and I'd be a star in his movies. I remember staring at that toy train, focusing on it as it traveled in its circle around the attic. To this day, I find it difficult to look at toy trains."
And Nietzsche, with his theory of eternal recurrence. He said that the life we live, we're going to live over and over again the exact same way for eternity. Great. That means I'll have to sit through the ice capades again. It's not worth it.
Life does become unbearable, because it's a pretty grim enterprise, you will admit.
Look, be logical about this.
Oh! Oh, that is incredibly jejune.
That's jejune?
Jejune.
You have the temerity to say that I'm talking to you out of jejunosity?
A total non-event.
It may be a non-event to Woody Allen, but not to Mia Farrow and not to authorities in Connecticut, who are required by law to investigate every reported incident of alleged child abuse.
It's incredible. If I wanted to be a child molester, I had many opportunities in the past. I could have quietly made a custody settlement with Mia in some way and done it in the future. I mean, you know, it's so insane.
Allen is cooperating with the investigation. He's made his own psychiatric files and the files of his children available to authorities. He's submitted to a polygraph and a battery of psychological tests. The reports we were shown would seem to support his contention he's not a child molester. Why then would Allen's 7-year-old daughter tell a Connecticut doctor otherwise?
Either she has been coached methodically to tell the story because...
By Mia.
By Mia, yeah. Because first of all, several weeks before it happened, Mia called me on the phone and said, in the course of an argumentative phone call, she said, I have something very nasty planned for you. And I said, what are you going to do, shoot me?
When did this happen?
This happened several weeks or a month before the allegations.
This was last summer.
Yes, this was a month before this happened. And on many, many occasions, over the phone and in person, Mia had said to me, you took my daughter and I'm going to take yours.
What did she mean by that?
She meant by it that I had formed a relationship with her 21-year-old daughter, and she was going to get my daughter, who's Dylan, I only have one daughter. That's what she meant. She was going to seek
Take her away.
Her revenge that way, yes.
Because of your affair with Sun Yi?
Yes, yes, absolutely. You took my daughter, I'm going to take your daughter.
Look, everybody's in the world now, and we're all United States and Afghanistan and Israel and Arabs and this president, the economy, and someone else is saying, I hope my movie is good at Cannes, and my wife is saying, I hope they send my dress back from the cleaners in time when I go to the thing. And then every 100 years, somebody presses a button and a big toilet flushes and everybody on the earth changes. Everybody, all the Muslims are gone, all the Afghanistans, all the Americans, everybody on the planet's gone. And a new set comes in, and they're full of worry and anxious, and they're doing everything, and then, button, they're all gone. And then every 100 years, it's like the whole planet gets washed clean of everybody on it, all these people that are making your life miserable, your next door neighbors, your people that are robbing you in the street, and, you know, all gone. The president and the bank robber, and they all out.
Allen contends that from the moment Mia Farrow discovered the nude pictures he'd taken of Sun Yi, she considered him morally guilty of child molesting, even though Sun Yi was legally an adult. A month before the alleged incident with Dylan, Allen says he found this note on a door while he was at Farrow's house for Dylan's birthday. It reads, child molester at birthday party. Molded, then abused one sister, now focused on youngest sister. Family disgusted.
Mia wrote that note. That's her handwriting.
Oh, absolutely.
What was the worst sin you ever committed? The worst sin that I ever committed?
We were under the assumption that Mia Farrow never reported the sexual abuse that happened. However, when she was in a bitter custody battle with Woody Allen, she brought up the fact that Dylan had said that she was sexually assaulted. Now, during that time, there was a doctor that was appointed by police to investigate these claims, and the doctor, his name is John Leventhal, interviewed her 9 separate times. And according to him, every single time she changed her story. Now remember, she was a 7-year-old. The doctor concluded that either Mia Farrow put her up to it, or the girl was so emotionally disturbed by what was happening in the household that she just couldn't get the facts straight and didn't really know what was going on. Anyway, basically it turned out that under this independent investigation, they could not conclude that she had been molested. There have been a number of other reports in the press that have been extremely irresponsible, namely the commentary from Mika Brzezinski and also Barbara Walters.
So, you know, it just seemed like a big, meaningless thing. Now, you can't actually live your life like that, because if you do, you just sit there and why do anything? Why get up in the morning and do anything?
Woody Allen's daughter, Dylan, wrote a scathing article detailing her claims of sexual abuse by her dad when she was just 7 years old. And Dylan calls out Hollywood actors writing, quote, "What if it had been your child, Kate Blanchett, Louis C.K., Alec Baldwin? What if it had been you, Emma Stone, or you, Scarlett Johansson? You knew me when I was a little girl, Diane Keaton. Have you forgotten me?"
Ooh. Wow.
Okay, let me just say a couple. First of all, the statute of limitations, by the way, if you say, well, shouldn't they press charges and so forth. Let me just read you officially what his lawyer said, and then let me tell you my own experience. His lawyer said it's tragic that after 20 years, a story engineered by a vengeful lover resurfaces after it was fully vetted and rejected by independent authorities. The one to blame for Dylan's distress is neither Dylan nor Woody. They're pointing a finger at Mia. So I know Mia. I have a good relationship with her. But I've been with Woody many times with his 2 daughters. He's got almost a 20-year-old marriage to Sun Yi, which started as a sensation. It's a solid marriage. He has 2 children, 2 girls. Bechet is 14, Manzi is 13. I have really seen a father as sensitive and as loving and as caring as Woody is and Sun Yi to these 2 girls. I don't know about Dylan. I can only tell you what I have seen now, that it's a good marriage and that he is a loving, caring father.
Barbara,
I think that has to be said.
And Freud, another great pessimist. Jeez, I was in analysis for years. Nothing happened. My poor analyst got so frustrated. The guy finally put in a salad bar.
Look, it's possible that he's a great loving parent in your experience to those kids, and he might have still done it, right?
Yeah.
Those are not mutually exclusive. And just because someone might have done something before doesn't mean that they're a monster, that every turn they're going to knife somebody while you're not looking, or that they can't be perfectly lovely in the presence of Barbara Walters.
Yeah, and I want to make a point about that, because I think that, you know, if you know someone personally, you just assume that they're a good person based on your experiences with them. You don't know who they really are in their private lives. And that's not to say that Woody Allen is a terrible person in his private life. I'm just saying that it's unfair for Barbara Walters to draw a conclusion about him just based on the interactions that she's had with him. So she's talking about his great marriage and everything, and I'm sure he probably does have a great marriage. It seems solid, even though it started under questionable circumstances. But, you know, you can't say, like, no, there's no way this happened because he seems like a good guy to me.
Right, and to be fair, she did say there that she didn't know what happened with Dylan, right? Mm-hmm. And then later they had a conversation on The View where they said, I think it was Sherry Shepard said, look, he had naked pictures of Sun Yi when she was 17. And that was the adopted daughter of Mia Farrow, who he was dating at the time. It wasn't his adopted daughter, but he's dating her, and he dated her for, I think, about 12 years, right? Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Sun Yi is her adopted daughter, and he's got naked pictures, and that's how Mia Farrow found out. Yeah. And Barbara Walters says, look, 17 isn't 7. Okay, that's true, right? But it ain't great either, right? Like, it's especially not great when she's the daughter of the person you've been dating 12 years.
Yeah. Now, Mika Brzezinski also commented on this during Morning Joe, and she is already assuming guilt. Take a look.
But then let's just not pretend that there's an issue here. There's a big problem with this guy.
When we look at sexual abuse and is willing to share this with all of us.
Does anybody here not believe her?
I believe her.
I believe her.
Later on, she said that she will boycott Woody Allen movies. She doesn't want to see another Woody Allen movie.
So I think it's the job of the artist to try and figure out why, given this terrible fact, why do you want to go on living? Why do you care about anything if this terrible truth is there, this meaningless end of everything? and you have to try and figure out, knowing that it's true, not giving yourself a fake heaven and hell and nonsense, but knowing the worst. Figure out, even knowing the worst, why it's still worthwhile. That's a tough assignment to explain to somebody why it's so terrible and why it's still important to go on. And this is a challenge for artists all the time, to try and figure it out.
Now, why do you think that you would like to convert to Catholicism?
Well, because, you know, I've got to have something to believe in, otherwise life is just meaningless.
I understand, but why did you make the decision to choose the Catholic faith?
Well, you know, first of all, because it's a very beautiful religion, and it's a strong religion. It's very well structured. You know, I'm talking now, incidentally, about the against school prayer, pro-abortion, anti-nuclear wing.
Woody Allen's wife actually used to be his stepdaughter, which makes for a really interesting Father's Day. Woody's son with Mia Farrow, Ronan, stopped speaking to his father back in 1992 when it was discovered that Woody had been dating Soon Yi, Mia's adopted daughter, who was just 10 years old when Woody got with Mia. It's been a while, but Ronan wants to remind everyone, and yesterday he put his dad on blast by tweeting, "Happy Father's Day," or as they call it in my family, Happy Brother-in-Law's Day. Mia Farrow added salt to the wound and retweeted the message, adding the word boom in all caps.
So at the moment you don't believe in God?
No, and I want to. You know, I'm willing to do anything. I'll dye Easter eggs if it works. I need some evidence. I gotta have some proof. You know what? If I can't believe in God, then I don't think life is worth living.
For Woody Allen, going out with Mia Farrow for a long, long time.
Married to Mia Farrow.
Right.
Yeah.
And Mia Farrow adopts Soon Yi, and unofficially, Woody Allen becomes her dad when she's 10 years old. When she's 21 and he's 56, the pervy wanker starts having an affair with her.
What? Oh, my God!
I don't understand. I thought you would be happy.
How could we be happy?
But because I never thought of God in my life, now I'm giving it serious thought.
But Catholicism? Why not your own people?
Because I got off to a wrong foot with my own thing, you know, but I need a dramatic change in my life.
You're going to believe in Jesus Christ?
I know, it sounds funny, but I'm going to try.
But why? We raised you as a Jew.
So just because I was born that way, you know, I'm old enough to make a mature decision.
But why Jesus Christ? Why, for instance, shouldn't you become a Buddhist?
That's totally alien to me. Look, you're getting on in years, right? Aren't you afraid of dying?
Why should I be afraid?
Because you won't exist.
So?
That thought doesn't terrify you?
Who thinks about such nonsense? Now I'm alive. When I'm dead, I'll be dead.
I don't understand. Aren't you frightened?
Of what? I'll be unconscious.
Yeah, I know, but never to exist again?
How do you know?
But it certainly doesn't look promising.
Who knows what it'll be? I'll either be unconscious or I won't. If not, I'll deal with it then. I'm not going to worry now about what's going to be when I'm unconscious.
But judgment of any system or a priori relation of phenomena exists in any rational or metaphysical or at least epistemological contradiction to an abstracted empirical concept such as being or to be or to occur in the thing itself or of the thing itself.
Yeah, I've said that many times.
Boris, we must believe in God.
If I could just see a miracle. Just one miracle, if I could see a burning bush or the seas part or my Uncle Sasha pick up a check.
What makes you interested in becoming a Hare Krishna?
Well, I'm not saying that I want to join or anything, but I know you guys believe in reincarnation, you know, so it interests me.
Yeah, well, what's your religion?
Well, I was born Jewish, you know, but last winter I tried to become a Catholic, and it didn't work for me. I studied and I tried and I gave it everything, but, you know, Catholicism for me was die now, pay later, you know, and I just couldn't get with it, and I wanted to.
You're afraid of dying?
Well, yeah, naturally, aren't you? Let me ask you, in reincarnation, does that mean my soul would pass to another human being, or would I come back as a moose or an aardvark or something?
Take our literature, read it over, and think about it.
Well, okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Hare Krishna. Who are you kidding? You're gonna be a Krishna? You're gonna shave your head and put on robes and dance around at airports? You look like Jerry Lewis. God, I'm so depressed.
And I'm just a worm, an insect, some kind of crawling, disgusting, creeping little vermin. You know you can stop me.
I will when I disagree.
Mom, come out.
Of course there's a God, you idiot. You don't believe in God?
But there's a God, then why is there so much evil in the world? Well, just on a simplistic level, why were there Nazis?
Tell him, Max.
How the hell do I know why they were Nazis? I don't know how the can opener works.
I hope I can convert you to agnosticism by the time the show is over.
Well, I've had a lot of people try, and the more they try, the firmer I get in my conviction.
Stop clenching your fists.
I can't unclench when there's turbulence. You know, I'm an atheist.
Well, I'll tell you, one day about a month ago, I really hit bottom. You know, I just felt that in a godless universe, I didn't want to go on living. Now, I happen to own this rifle, which I loaded, believe it or not, and pressed it to my forehead. And I remember thinking at the time, I'm going to kill myself. Then I thought, what if I'm wrong? What if there is a God? I mean, after all, nobody really knows that. But then I thought, no, you know, maybe is not good enough. I want certainty or nothing. And I remember very clearly, the clock was ticking, and I was sitting there, frozen, with the gun to my head, debating whether to shoot.
Look, the soft golden dusk is already transmogrifying itself into the blue star-sprinkled night.
Careful, because that gun may be loaded. All of a sudden, the gun went off. I had been so tense, my finger had squeezed the trigger inadvertently. But I was perspiring so much, the gun had slid off my forehead and missed me. And suddenly, neighbors were pounding on the door, and I don't know, the whole scene was just pandemonium. And, you know, and I ran to the door. I didn't know what to say. You know, I was embarrassed and confused, and my mind was racing a mile a minute. And I just knew one thing. I had to get out of that house. I had to just get out in the fresh air and clear my head.
God is perfect.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, when I look in the mirror in the morning, it's hard for me to believe that.
And I remember very clearly, I walked the streets. I walked and I walked. I didn't know what was going through my mind. It all seemed so violent and unreal to me. And I wandered for a long time on the Upper West Side, you know, and it must have been hours. You know, my feet hurt, my head was pounding, and I had to sit down. I went into a movie house. I didn't know what was playing or anything. I just needed a moment to gather my thoughts and be logical and put the world back into rational perspective.
You know, in God's sight, you are beautiful. And everyone... Because God loves all of us, and He has the hairs of our head numbered. He sees the sparrow fall. He's interested in every detail of your life.
And I went upstairs to the balcony, and I sat down. And, you know, the movie was a film that I'd seen many times in my life since I was a kid, and I always loved it. And, you know, I'm watching these people up on the screen, and I started getting hooked on the film, you know? And I started to feel, how can you even think of killing yourself? I mean, isn't it so stupid? I mean, look at all the people up there on the screen, you know? They're real funny, and what if the worst is true? What if there's no God, and you only go around once, and that's it? Well, you know, don't you want to be part of the experience? You know, what the hell, it's not all a drag. And I'm thinking to myself, geez, I should stop ruining my life searching for answers I'm never going to get and just enjoy it while it lasts. And, you know, after, who knows? I mean, you know, maybe there is something. Nobody really knows. I know maybe is a very slim reed to hang your whole life on, but that's the best we have. And then I started to sit back, and I actually began to enjoy myself.
I'm a little concerned right now about your salvation and stuff.
He made you like you are. He made you Woody Allen, and He expects you to live up to a standard that He has made. And if you don't live up to it, then the Bible says you're falling short, and that's where you need God's help.